and let us all do we can to build a better future.
A long time ago, there was a film that came out called The Great Dictator. It starred Charlie Chaplin. It's a great film, satire on fascism, tyranny. Who would ever think that one day we'd be living in this neoliberal nightmare where all of a sudden our politicians are the authoritative figures, but we cannot question them. We supposedly elect them, and they supposedly supposed to work for us, but they don't. And then we have a media that claims it informs us, but always they do the twists and turns of constantly hiding the truth. And occasionally we see corporate media show its rear end. Now, on Hardlands Media, we have been smacking CNN in the mouth, rightfully so, as well as BSDNC, rightfully so. But hey, Fox News deserves to be criticized as well. And huge shout out to Tucker Carlson for calling out his former employers, Fox News, and, well, their big oopsie. That's right, Fox News made an oopsie, just like all of corporate media. These establishment hack frauds always make mistakes. Let's talk about the wannabe dictator. The wannabe dictator, in which they had to fire somebody for, which I find funny. Here, let's laugh together at Fox News. Now, again, it's gonna take some time for Fox News to go under like CNN. CNN is already a failing ship. That is not open for debate. CNN will fall. Fox News is in its beginning decline because something's happening there. They know they screwed up. So I find this hilarious, and I especially find it hilarious now that they're trying to silence Tucker Carlson. Good luck. That was your MVP, Fox. I have no idea what you were thinking when that happened. But hey, we all got to learn the lesson, and I say we embrace it. Fox News, your ship is taking on water.
It's Tucker Carlson. On Tuesday afternoon, the Biden administration had Donald Trump arrested. It was a pretty big news story. You may have seen it. Just before 9 p.m. that night, as part of its coverage, Fox News ran 2 live video feeds next to one another.
Oh my goodness gracious. Let's just look at that for a second. I know it's still 2023, but geez Louise, the build up to 2024. I hope everything delivers. I want to be entertained, and I could see some liberal hiding under their blanket saying, "How dare you, Kit, laugh at this? The country's falling apart." Big news. Who cares? Breaking news. The country's already falling apart, and it's already breaking apart. The country's already divided. I want to laugh. Wannabe dictator speaks at the White House after having his political rival arrested. I know we all don't like Donald Trump, whatever, but where's the lie? Where is the lie? I mean, the fact that in this country, we're seeing a potential challenger going through this kind of legal trouble right now really says a lot about the Biden-Harris administration and how afraid they are of, once again, potentially fighting Donald Trump. And again, I have said on the show, there's a 50-50 chance Donald Trump is walking out of this. And he'll have plenty of political ammunition to use against corporate media and the Democratic establishment and vote blue no matter who. If his campaign is stupid and doesn't use that, then yeah, Trump deserves to lose. Or there's another way this plays out. Oh no, Trump's gone. But guess what? Now the Pandora's box of the Republicans doing the same thing that the Democrats did to Trump can happen. A back and forth. But all the while, the American people are going to be screwed over and ignored. And by the way, vote blue no matter who. You think by doing this, all of Trump's supporters are going to magically disappear into the ether like Hillary Clinton walking into the woods? No, that's not going to happen. So let's have democracy in the chat too, because I want all of you to be involved in this as well. Wannabe dictator speaks at the White House after having his political rival arrested. Does this resonate? Does this actually seem like the truth in many ways? I mean, I understand this is still corporate media, and yes, there's many nuances here, but type one if you like, yeah, this is kind of screwed up that this is happening in our quote unquote republic. Type two is, oh no, everything's fine. I like being in a burning building, political rivals being arrested, the silence of the press, no third parties, nothing, no choice, just following orders. That's fine with me. Let's continue on.
On the right, Donald Trump addressed his supporters in New Jersey. On the left, Joe Biden spoke at an event for the Secretary General of NATO in Washington. Beneath those videos at the bottom of the screen, Fox's banner read this way, quote, "Wannabe dictator speaks at the White House after having his political rival arrested." Those words were up for less than 30 seconds, but the effect was immediate. Inside Fox, the women who run the network panicked. First, they scolded the producer who put the banner on the screen. Less than 24 hours after that, he resigned. He'd been at Fox for more than a decade. He was considered one of the most capable people in the building. He offered to stay for the customary 2 weeks, but Fox told him to clear out his desk and leave immediately. Then the company issued a public apology for the 27-second-long wannabe dictator line. Quote, "The Chiron was taken down immediately," Fox's PR department said.
The Fox News of antiquity back in the 90s, early 2000s would never do that. I remember Fox News was unapologetic and always stood firm. What's going on, Fox?
And then added ominously, it was, quote, "addressed." That was all true, but it was not enough to save Fox News from the ensuing scandal. For a time in the rest of the media, Fox's assessment of Donald Trump's arrest seemed to overshadow Trump's arrest itself. Suggesting that Biden is a dictator, declared the Washington Post, quote, "crossed the line." Alexander Vindman agreed strongly. Vindman is the perennial MSNBC guest and full-time Ukraine promoter you may remember from Russiagate. On Twitter, he demanded that the Pentagon pull Fox News from all military bases. It is, quote, "absolutely unacceptable for American Forces Network to carry programming that directly, spuriously attacks the commander-in-chief of American Armed Forces," Vindman wrote.
Now, the thing is, for many, that might seem shocking, but that's already happening. Look at the ongoing censorship that's happening with independent media. Look at it how all of corporate media and the two-party system did everything they could to remove Sputnik and RT or any other foreign press outlet. That's right. It's happening. It's been happening for quite some time. This is nothing new. For those of you who don't know, that this is an ongoing operation in regards to controlling what Americans can think, see, and hear. The establishment thinks you're too stupid to think for yourself. The establishment feels that you cannot make your own decisions, and they're going to dictate to you what is safe to watch. And while it is Fox News, and yes, I am laughing at Fox News in panic mode, the establishment is circling around the old man Biden, ensuring that nobody dare criticize him. Nobody looks at him the wrong way or starts questioning whether or not this man should be president. Continuing on.
In other words, Joe Biden must ban all criticism of himself because that's what non-dictators do. John Cusack went further still. For the crime of calling Biden a dictator, Fox should be shut down, wrote the 80s era movie star. Quote, "the government has to take away their broadcasting license," and so on. It was all over the internet. Democrats were very, very angry. But why were they angry? If the banner on Fox was false, why the hysteria? Lies don't seem to bother anyone anymore. If some cable news producer had called Joe Biden a genius or accused him of being secretly Sudanese, would anyone be yelling about it? Would Fox News have apologized for it? Probably not. But calling Joe Biden a wannabe dictator, that stung. So you've got to wonder, if you're being honest with yourself, is Joe Biden a wannabe dictator? That question came up yesterday at the White House briefing. Here's how it went.
Last night, Fox News ran a chyron that referred to the president as a wannabe dictator, and I'm wondering if the White House has any comment on that.
So look, there are probably about 787 million things that I can say about this. That was wrong about what we saw last night, but I don't think I'm going to get into it.
Well, gee, maybe you should get into it and talk about it, or do you need to see the White House counselor? I'm joking. But no, the real truth is, and this is something that should disturb all of you, we are witnessing, again, the suppression of free speech. Since the Biden-Harris administration got into office, independent media and censorship has been at an all-time high, or censorship towards independent media has been at an all-time high. Yes, things were just as bad under Trump, but somebody pushed it all to 11, implementing policies of what you could see and hear on social media. Now, of course, again, with the favoritism towards corporate media, one of the plus sides I could say from this is that the downfall of CNN Plus was, well, a breath of fresh air, because I guess all of corporate media thought that people liked them, and CNN had the audacity of doing their own streaming services because people are always recommended to watch corporate media, including CNN. CNN thought that they could bring in the views and the steady viewership. That was never going to happen. We've also seen firsthand that the kids are still in cages. We still see firsthand what's happening south at the border. Corporations are still allowed to get away with polluting communities. Hell, remember East Palestine, Ohio? Remember that train derailment? Any accountability for that corporation? What about the railroad workers? Remember that union strike that Biden stopped? Yeah, that's a thing that happened under the Biden-Harris administration. Oh, and a woman's right to choose. It will forever be protected, cherished, and enshrined and codified. Oh, wait, that didn't happen either. Hey, vote blue no matter who. Biden's looking a little sus, don't you think? Oh, wait, go back to your brunch. Don't think for yourself. Just be ready to follow orders and listen to who the establishment is going to pick for you, because somehow you think voting in your primary is going to matter. It doesn't. It doesn't.
There's no comment the White House has on.
I think I just commented.
Oh, no comment necessary. Of course, Joe Biden's not a wannabe dictator. Just because he's trying to put the other candidate in prison for the rest of his life for a crime he himself committed doesn't mean he has a totalitarian impulse. Come on, that's absurd. It takes a lot more than jailing your political rivals to earn the title wannabe dictator. That's the consensus in Washington tonight. And in some ways, for once, the consensus may be right. It is not a small thing to be a wannabe dictator. It's quite a process. There are a lot of steps. First off, there is the money. The one thing that all dictators have in common is they enrich themselves and their families, their tribe, even as the countries they govern grow steadily poorer and more desperate.
We've seen this in antiquity. I cannot recommend this YouTube channel enough. It's called Fall of Civilization Podcast. Great documentary series. And while these empires of old did fall, and while, again, they did lack the many of the technological benefits that we have here today, as you watch each of the series, including my personal favorite, or my two personal favorites, the one on the Bronze Age collapse and the Byzantine Empire, well, you'll realize that there are some shocking similarities, and that history, while it may not repeat itself, sure likes to play the game of rhythm and rhyming. And things do, once again, sound all too familiar. Dynastic families controlling a nation, enriching themselves, a top 1% ruling over the rest, ongoing wars, inflation, mass poverty, and the people suffering. It's a story that's been on repeat mode over and over and over again. The lyrics are all the same. And we have dynastic families here. The Bushes, the Trumps, the Reagans. We have the Clintons, the Pelosi's, Feinsteins. Yes, I know. It's true. Many dynastic families. The Obamas. Need I go on? We all know who they are, and they exist at the state. Correction. They exist at the county level, the city level, the state level, and at the federal level. The United States, while it claims itself to be a republic, has always been, at this point in time right now, an oligarchy, where rich people and dynastic families control the lives of millions of citizens. Madness and insanity.
They take kickbacks from businesses and from other dictators. They use the official functions of their government to funnel cash to themselves. They don't bother to hide the fruits of this. They live in garish mansions with big lawns, far from the teeming cities, even as their own citizens languish in growing poverty, in some cases, literally living in tents on the street. So they don't really hide it. It's all pretty blatant. And ordinary people resent it.
And I see those same 10 cities and communities all over the city of Chicago. And it's getting worse. I know Los Angeles and all over the major cities in California, since there's a mass exodus happening there, it's all too real, but it's happening in every single major metropolitan city, even in my city. And where are our leaders at? Doing nothing but virtue signaling, saying words and talking, and not leading. Because they got to call up their oh-so-fantastic donor and lick their feet, and hopefully they'll get another donation.
Of course they do, and wannabe dictators know they resent it, but they don't care. There's nothing the population can do about it in a dictatorship. It's no longer possible to fight injustice in a system like that. People can't gather in large numbers to protest the rule of the dictator. If they try that, they'll be arrested by his state security services, even years after the fact. A visit from men in body armor at the breakfast table. That happens. And if citizens persist.
And that did happen to one podcaster where the police knocked on his door. There's a few other incidents as well in which, again, people have been silenced and suppressed. And while you may not get the knock on the door from the political police, you could face censorship, suppression, demonetization, the destruction of your media network, like what almost happened to Hard Lens Media. For about 6 months, my colleague Daniel Lupker and I, in 2020, were at a crossroad because it was very close and very real when we first got hit that we might have to end our operations here at Hard Lens Media. It was a scary time. And since then, we've been hit not once, but 8 more times. So 8 times in a row. Thankfully, we won every single fight because of you, our viewing audience. But the censorship is real. And there are other channels that have been hit harder than Hard Lens Media. Stand against censorship. Fight for free speech.
Persist in believing they can gather in groups to protest, they may be shot to death, a bullet to the throat. And then, just to make the humiliation complete, to make the lesson gin clear to everyone else watching, their relatives can be arrested for daring to complain that their children were killed for complaining. That actually happens in some places. Ask Ashley Babbitt's mother. Here she is in handcuffs.
Babbitt's father. You're arresting Ashley Babbitt's father.
You murdered her inside the Capitol. Now you're going to arrest her?
Come out of there. 101. I will transport response.
All right, sidewalk.
So don't be like Ashley Babbitt's mother, much less like poor Ashley Babbitt. She's dead now. That's the message a wannabe dictator would send. And by the way, it's not just public protest that would be banned in a dictatorship. You wouldn't be allowed to complain from your own home. Unauthorized opinions expressed on the internet would be censored. Go too far, press too deep, tell too much truth, and they'll just erase your opinions. They have no choice, really. It's a matter, as they say, of trust and safety. You must trust the leader, or else you will jeopardize his safety. Not that you really can jeopardize his safety at this point. The leader has nuclear weapons, and
again, just want to repeat this. Hard Lens Media, not once, but 8 times, were almost censored, demonetized, wrongly censored, by the way. And we won all those 8 incidences, YouTube. But that shouldn't happen in the first place. And there are other channels that got censored too. I mean, just what? Last month alone, Kim Iverson's channel, where her interview with RFK Jr. was taken down. There was Indie News Network. Couldn't upload or go live for 2 goddamn freaking weeks. Our colleagues at Revolutionary Blackout Network, 7 days, 7 days, they couldn't go live on their channel. And there are other channels that have been hit worse, who are no longer on YouTube anymore. Are you not concerned? Are you not angry? And I don't care where you are on the political spectrum. You don't have to like my show. I'm not asking you to like my show, and I'm not going to change anyone's mind. But I will tell you this. Once everyone's on that chopping block, even you won't be able to speak out. So go ahead if you're all on board with your team, Team Red or Team Blue, dictating what could be seen and not heard. But as soon as you speak out, you're silenced.
You don't. He'll remind you of that from time to time. And in any case, you're in the process of being disarmed anyway, along with everyone else who has shown questionable loyalty to the leader. Those who support the regime can keep their weapons and use them freely, including on public transportation. That's a core civil right for them. But for those who dissent from the program, self-defense is an unaffordable privilege. Turn in your guns, Mr. and Mrs. Peaceful Opposition. You're a danger to society, and we know who you are. And in fact, the wannabe dictator does know who they are because he knows everything. Technology has made him all-seeing. A report in Wired magazine just this week revealed that the highly non-dictatorial Biden administration is busy tracking the phones of millions of Americans without their knowledge and without bothering to get a warrant.
There's a guy, first name Ed, who snowed in somewhere on the Asian continent, who warned us about that. And this happened under this guy. You never heard of him. Named Obama, Barack Obama. Yeah, Democratic administration. Hey, SJW industrial complex, all you vote blue no matter who people, all those people that care about, freedom or social justice. Where are all of you at? Oh, that's right, nowhere. And hell, I saw what most of y'all were doing during the Trump administration, those 4 years, especially the ones in Chicago. We're going to protest in downtown area of Chicago and then march in front of Trump Tower. By the way, for those who don't know, Trump Tower is across the Chicago River. And all those quote-unquote resistance people, SJWs, would be herded like sheep. The little pen by the CPD. That's the Chicago Police Department. Big old resistance fighters. Oh, man, you'd make Malcolm X, Dr. King, the French resistance. Everybody so proud. Che Guevara would be saluting all of you as you are following orders by the CPD and marching in those little cage area, protesting a private building. Hey, you're going to show that same kind of action towards, I don't know, any of these federal offices? Because we asked that question. You know what those resistance fighters said to us, those SJWs? We'll get to it. We're right now trying to really bring attention to Trump. You guys are sexist for talking like that. We got to resist Trump. Where are all those fighters now? Controversial statement, 3, 2, 1. Without Trump, the entire social justice movement from 2016 to 2020 would be irrelevant. Trump was the biggest job creator in the social justice warrior industrial complex. And look at what happened to Time's Up, Me Too, and Black Lives Matter. All gone. Scandals. Riddled by scandals because they were hypocrites. They never believed in their message.
And at the same time, the same non-dictatorial administration is stockpiling a massive trove of damaging information about these same Americans to be used at some point, we are sure, for entirely noble purposes. So the administration now knows everything: where you spend your days, who you talk to, what you think, your porn habits. Not a big deal. The administration already knows what you buy, of course, because they've leaned on the big banks to turn over your confidential credit card information. Not because anyone here is a wannabe dictator, to be clear, but just because. It's nice to have that information, just in case, in the words of the Fox News PR department, a situation arises that needs to be, quote, addressed. It's all totally normal. It's not a dictatorship, okay? But in the end, the main reason Joe Biden is not a wannabe dictator is because he just does not fit the profile as a man. Dictators have that look. You know one when you see one. Dictators build.
The king is nuts. Little inside joke with the audience.
Cults of personality around themselves, and they use those cults to deny the glaringly obvious. In his later years, to name just one example, North Korean dictator Kim Il-sung developed an enormous baseball-sized tumor on the back of his neck. It was huge. It was grotesque. It was right there. You couldn't ignore it. You couldn't.
Jeez Louise. I really feel sorry for some of those advisors who are around dictators like that. Because you can't help but say, dear leader, look, you might want to get that checked. I mean, if anyone's ever not seen the film Death of Stalin, please do so. It's a work of art. Zhukov is my favorite character, though. Make sure you bring a date to the dance.
Possibly not see it. But in North Korea, state media did ignore it. They pretended it didn't exist. And so, in some important sense, it didn't. If a tumor grows on a neck, but no one acknowledges it, is it really there? Thankfully, nothing like that is happening in our country or ever will. If Joe Biden ever developed some profound physical or medical problem that was obvious to everybody, journalists would say something. This is not North Korea. We don't have state media here. If Joe Biden was, say, incapable of completing a full sentence, or mistook his sister for his wife, or suddenly started falling down in public for no reason, the New York Times would report on that and then get to the bottom of what was actually happening.
And it's not like Hard Lens Media's not addressed it, or anyone else in independent media. And yes, to be fair to corporate media, at least from 2019 to the early stages of the 2020 primary until Barack Obama, that's right, Barack Obama made that phone call, people were calling out Biden's stutters, him stammering and acting a little odd. Now, shh, don't you say anything. Don't you point that out, that old man Biden is looking dazed and confused. Old man Biden is suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia, and if not, he's getting early signs of it. If he gets reelected, he'll be 86. He'll be the oldest sitting president in U.S. history. You should be an old folks' home, not dictating policy. But hey, corporate media is also kind of happy and smiling about, oh, look, there's Dianne Feinstein, so stunning and brave, half her face paralyzed like this.
That would be its duty in a free country like ours. It's not like they would cover it up. The very idea of a cover-up sounds like a conspiracy theory, a dangerous one, actually, so stop it. And by the way, if Joe Biden was a wannabe dictator, he'd have the family to match. All dictators do. Saddam Hussein had Uday and Qusay. They were princelings who lived above the law, indulging their most decadent fantasies with total confidence they would be never held to account by the police. As the sons of a dictator, they knew they could do exactly what they wanted. And so that's what they did. There's no one like that around Joe Biden. He doesn't have weird sex scandals at the heart of his family.
Oh, God. That laptop that was silenced. You couldn't share it on Twitter or Facebook, folks.
That no one in the media will ever talk about. He doesn't have a ne'er-do-well former nightclub owning brother who's made a living for 30 years by being related to him. Not at all. That's dictator stuff. Joe Biden doesn't award ridiculous inflated titles to his relatives that the media are then required to take seriously. He doesn't call people doctor who didn't go to medical school and then force you to nod along like it's real when everyone knows it isn't. Nicolae Ceausescu did that with his wife, Elena. Joe Biden would never do that. Nor does Joe Biden dress like a dictator. He doesn't do photo ops in mirrored sunglasses driving a sports car to convince you that he isn't frail and senile, but instead powerful, virile, and wise. That's just not his style. If Joe Biden was a dictator, he'd be wearing epaulets and carrying a tasseled riding crop, and he isn't yet. So calm down.
We're going to stop here because, again, great stuff all in all. But it's also important to take away from this that the media purposely creates a narrative, and even Fox News plays part of it too. Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, the New York Times, Washington Post, all these establishment hack fraud media outlets want to continue to churn out the neoliberal talking points to keep all of you in the dark. It has been confirmed already what the establishment thinks about you, the American people, the voter, that you're too stupid. You can't think for yourselves. Let the establishment make the decision for you. Just follow orders. Vote Republican, vote Democrat. That's how it is. That's how it's always been. It's not like the two-party system created an entire political atmosphere in which there are no other options, no voting for Green Party, Third Party, People's Party, Socialist Party, anything like that. You can't vote. You can't think outside the two-party system. It's not like they gerrymander or rig elections or rewrite districts so that way the two-party system still has control. It's not like that we live in a neoliberal hellhole, but oh, wait, we actually do, and the media covers it. I said this before. The same people who donate to the Democratic Party donate to the Republican Party. Same people who donate to the Republican Party donate to the Democratic Party. The people who control both parties control the media. Wall Street, big banks, corporations, lobby groups, the military-industrial complex, big oil, big pharma, the healthcare insurance industry. They all control what we see, think, and hear. Wake up, people. We may not be in a dictatorship yet. We have an oligarchy. So corrupt that it makes the Roman senators of antiquity look like social justice freedom fighters. I know. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch. I shouldn't go that far. The Roman Senate was very inherently corrupt, Republican name only. That's the world we're in. Now, I'm trying to be kind here. I'm trying to be nice here, but truth be told, you, the American people, need to get angry. You need to get upset. We're seeing a system in which we are constantly being lied to. Politicians being propped up as heroes and people who care about average citizens. All the while, they're enriching themselves. Go follow Unusual Whales on Twitter, and you'll find out what your also fantastic Democratic or Republican lawmaker is making on the side. Doing insider trading. If they're ever caught, no consequences. Just a little slap on the wrist. That's it. Now, if you were to do that, you're never seeing the sun again. You're going bye-bye for a long, long, long time. This is the system we have. So Fox News, wannabe dictator. Where's the lie? I mean, for 27 seconds, it was up there, but Fox News, I'm going to say this, and this is going to be very controversial. And maybe I could be in the wrong here, but when you pulled this up and you shared it with the American people, and the American people saw firsthand that little statement, wannabe dictator, a wannabe dictator, I have to say, you told the truth for that one moment. That one moment you told the truth. I'm looking forward to how this entire election cycle plays out. Stay tuned to Hard Lens Media.